Hey guys.
Broadcasting live.
Live
The
from
Rare
the
Girls.
This is the first time I have ever been in my office for one of our shows. I've been in
It is. Congratulations.
the
And this
car.
is the first time I'm not in my office. I'm in my
Right.
car office.
I was in
Alexa, where are you?
office 10 minutes ago, and now I'm in my parents' home office because I couldn't get to my
You are
office.
booking home.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you do this morning, Alexa?
My office.
Well, my day started off a little rough. I was going a little too fast on the highway because I was so excited to sell real estate. And now here we are. Fast forward, I was at a HUD home all day, foreclosed property. I had to let in Connecticut water. I had to let in the plumber. And I actually was supposed to still be working from my car, but then there were just too many plumbing issues, so we didn't move forward. So here I am. I'm in the home office. What have you guys done today?
Well, I got to actually sleep in this morning, which hasn't happened in quite some time because my last appointment is really, really late tonight. So my last appointment tonight isn't until 8 o'clock. So I
space it out.
Yeah, I took a little break this morning, but I still was, I was at the office by about 10:30 to start knocking shit out.
Love it.
That's good. And
Yeah.
I've been sitting I met with a seller this morning, got some documents signed in a parking lot of a Starbucks, and now I've been at an inspection for going on like 3 hours, and I don't see an end in sight. So
Are you
I would just
inspecting the
rather
house?
hang out here.
Are you
Am I inspecting the house? That's why it's taking so long. I'm sitting in the driveway because I'm inspecting the house.
Okay.
Explains things. I mean, what is it, Tabby? Is it like a 100,000 square foot mansion or something crazy?
It is about a 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom home in the $120,000 range in Medina County. Cute little buttoned up home.
Nice.
So,
Buttons are good.
Buttons are good.
Buttons are good. Do we know if we can get Tony back in here?
I was just gonna say.
We've had Tony Medidero from Chicago somehow.
Hi, Tony.
And he's like, "Yo, what are we doing here?" And we're waiting on Tony, our geeky agent from Canada. Oh,
there he is.
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me
Tony.
now?
Hear him.
That's great.
Can you actually hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Woo!
Yeah.
Tony, it was you.
I'm here. Hey, I can only see Alexa, but that's good. I like Alexa.
I like Alexa.
And I can only see Kynse and Tony.
Oh.
I'll watch you on
I'm
like
watching
live. So
As I watch us on Facebook Live, we are all
You look
here.
fine.
So that's
Perfect.
I can see on my laptop. Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
Can everybody hear everybody though?
Yep. I'm going to.
We're all in. So hello world, here we are broadcasting another great episode of the Real Angels of Real Estate. I'm going to get the name right. Real Angels of Real Estate, Rare Ladies, and we are featuring Tony. Tony, take it away. Where are you from?
And can you please say your last name? Say your last name, because I call you Iacoviello.
That's close. That's pretty good.
Okay, cool.
I have a whole video about how to say my last name. I'm like, come on, it can't be that hard. But it's Iacoviello. If you want me to say it like they do in Italy, it's Iacoviello.
I love that.
You're a bit far away. I'm going to try and zoom you in so we can all be nice and close and snuggly.
Oh, I like to be
there.
He's drinking out of your mug right now. I'm like very jealous that I did not bring your mug. I have my own little Remax Edge.
There's a bunch of those mugs around. Here's the original one.
Yeah, I've got all sorts of beverages this morning.
Yes.
My water.
The only thing, it makes me happy to know that many beautiful women around the world put their lips on me at least once a day.
Nice. This is why we love Tony.
Keeping it real.
Tony, where are you from? You're from Canada. What part of Canada?
I am from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, which is about 45 minutes from Toronto. Everybody knows where Toronto is, but nobody knows where Hamilton is. So if you know where Toronto is and you know where Niagara Falls is, they're on opposite sides of Lake Ontario. which goes down into the States as well, right? Like there's Niagara Falls, Buffalo, there's Niagara Falls, Canada. So you kind of got to go, like Niagara Falls is here, and there's like the butt end of Lake Ontario. It goes like that. So Niagara Falls is here, Toronto's here, and Hamilton is like right by the butthole.
Oh,
right there.
Perfect.
So you like?
I will know exactly where. And then I will think of nothing more when I think.
Exactly.
When I think of Canada's butthole, I think Tony.
Everybody from Toronto thinks we're the butthole, so we're good. We are like we were founded. We're a steel town. We're like Pittsburgh or something like that. So we had two of the largest steel manufacturers in the world, for like top 10 steel manufacturers for decades and decades and decades. That's what the city was founded on, basically. So we're a city. The core part of the city is about 350,000, and if you include the slightly outlying areas, which are technically part of the city, we're like 550,000 people right in that little corner there. Toronto's about 2 million right now, 2.5 million. So we're one of the larger cities in Canada, and we're like an industrial town, right? But we're like a lot of places like Pittsburgh and other places, like that industry is somewhat fading, and we're transitioning to more like healthcare technology and that sort of thing. So that's us, and we're awesome.
Very good.
So.
Cool.
Very good.
I like it.
So when did you get into real estate, Tony?
I had a life crisis like everybody else, and I thought, why not do real estate? Why not? Yeah, it's awesome. No, I've been in real estate probably about, what am I at now? 6.5 years, I think. Yeah, just finishing up 6.5 years roughly. So end of October, beginning of November is like my anniversary date. And that's easy. I usually remember because our licenses last 2 years at a time. We have to renew our licenses every 2 years. So that's kind of easy to remember.
Okay, do you have to like completely renew it, like start over and take the course? Or do you just have to do continuing education?
Yeah, it's mainly continuing education. So there's initially when you start, there's like most places, there's a whole whack of stuff that you got to do to get licensed and all that sort of thing. Then during that every 2 years, there's like a minimum number of I guess they call them elective type courses. You can take courses on like social media, you can take courses on appraisals or mortgage financing, all that sort of stuff. And then there's like one core, like big, almost day-long update course. That's all the regulatory compliance stuff that we have to do. So you have to do that once every 2 years, just so you're up to date on whatever the new regulations are, code of conduct, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And then you're renewed for another 2 years. Pay your insurance, pay your fees, all that junk, and away you go.
Right. And so something that I learned about Canadian real estate when I was actually on your show a few months ago was that your license is limited to certain areas, correct?
Yeah, it's province-wide. So I can't technically, I'm getting feedback. I can't technically sell real estate all over Canada. I can't do that. But anywhere in the province of Ontario. So we're not like the States where you've got like 50 states and stuff. We only have 10 provinces, or roughly. So Ontario is a really big area. We go right from the border basically to the North Pole almost. So it's not, there's a territory above us kind of thing, but pretty much I work anywhere in the province of Ontario I can buy or sell real estate legally. And then it's not generally overly difficult to get a license in the other provinces if I really needed to. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But you have a lot of referral agents that you would rather not drive out of Ontario, that you would rather just send that business to.
Oh, I'd rather not drive out of Hamilton if I didn't have to be honest. No, like we're pretty, like there are agents that'll travel quite a bit. But we're pretty specialized. Like I work in Hamilton, like I said, there's 550,000 people here. About just over 3,000 real estate agents or registered real estate agents. And about, depending, like last year was like the record setting year for us. Like things have calmed down a little bit, but 2017 was.
Last year or this year?
2017. Yeah. This year has calmed down since last year. But last year was the record-setting year for prices, for number of transactions, all that stuff. And even then, we're only at about 17,000 transactions for the year for Hamilton, Burlington. If you go just down the road to Toronto, there's a lot more transactions, a lot more people, but there's also like 45,000 agents in that area, kind of thing. So it really doesn't make sense. I mean, I know agents here. I'm not one of the top producing agents, but I do six figures. I do well, and I know other agents that do consistently $250,000, $500,000 a year, just being in this area. So there's really no reason to really travel like an hour to Toronto or further to do business, right? And we're very cooperative. We have a national MLS system. I know you guys don't have that in the US. Like we have a true national MLS system. So we cooperate pretty much across the board. So it's pretty easy to find agents. I get referrals. Just last week, I received 3 referrals from Toronto area, from a Keller Williams agent, from a Royal LePage agent, which is a Canadian company, and from a Remax agent. So 3 different agents sent referrals for me for people that are from Toronto but looking to purchase investment properties here in Hamilton, kind of thing. Awesome. So yeah, we're very specialized. We're very local knowledge, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So speaking of investments and whatnot, so I know you got into the business 6.5 years ago. That's exactly when I got into the business. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. I didn't know.
Tabatha and I are the old broads over here.
The old broads?
The old broads.
Mm-hmm.
I love old broads.
15. Right? Yeah, we're 15. We got licensed same time, 2003. So 15 years we've been doing this. So we went through the 2003, this is great, to 2008, this sucks, to 2010, this is great. We can do REOs all day long.
That's
Were you doing Were you doing a lot of REOs, Kynse?
Short sales. I am the short sale queen.
Yeah. Yep. So we don't have any of that up here. Like
on my sleep.
That's what I was wondering because
if you talk to somebody up here, if you talk to a real estate agent up here in Canada, like we have a vague understanding of what a short sale is because of our proximity to you guys in the US, but we don't do them. I mean, it's not something that we really know. I know I come down, like I go to the Remax conferences there, I go to R4 and I talk
That's where I first met you.
Yeah, I talked to agents like you all. I first met Alexa, was this last year? Yeah, last year's R4, Alexa and Tabatha there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, with the whole group there.
And you met my Barbie. You met Broker Barbie because I was out of the office then.
Broker Barbie and I have a thing, just so you know, you're not, we don't make it public or anything, but we have a thing. So, but yeah, when I talk to you guys down there, like there's a lot of things that you all do that, like you guys go into escrow and you do short sales and all that kind of stuff, which honestly we have really no knowledge of. Like we just don't do that kind of stuff up here. Like I think if you go further west out into British Columbia, I think some of the stuff around escrow and that sort of thing, they kind of get involved in.
Right.
But we basically just sell real estate. We sell real estate. We do the agreement of purchase and sale. Like we do the negotiations with and all that sort of stuff and get the actual agreement to purchase in place, and we coordinate with lawyers and mortgage providers and all that sort of stuff. But really, the mortgage people take over and do all the financing stuff. We don't even get involved in the pre-approval for clients. Like they speak to a mortgage specialist first. The mortgage specialist works with them from the bank or the mortgage broker or whoever they're going to get their funding from, and pre-approves them, says, hey, based on your finances and your expenses, here's how much of a house roughly you could afford. Then I take over and we go look for a property, we go look for a home. Once we've kind of get to the point where we've agreed on a price and all that sort of stuff, and we've done our home inspection and all that sort of thing, then it goes back to the mortgage people to sort of, they make the final approval because they kind of do a secondary approval on the property because they want to make sure if they're lending money that the property that they're lending money on is worth what they're lending, right?
Similar.
Yeah, but they handle all of that. Like I don't get involved in any kind of financial discussion really with the clients at all. That's all with them, and it's all confidential with them, right? So I don't really touch it.
Say RESPA or Dodd-Frank?
Sorry, what was that?
RESPA and Dodd-Frank. That's where our mortgage issues seem to lie here in America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
when you guys have like, we're familiar, like I said, because being like close neighbors as we are, I mean, we get all your media, right? So we get like all of like NBC and ABC, and we get Netflix and the whole deal, right? So we see all that stuff. So we're essentially American that way, as far as media and music and all that stuff is concerned, and in addition to what we have up here. So we're familiar with like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all the stuff that kind of happens, but we just don't deal with it. We don't really have anything. We have CMHC, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, which for people who have like low down payments, they insure the mortgages. So our banks are, the whole system here is different. Like the banks are actually insured by the government up to a certain amount. So the system is more stable. So when you guys had your crash in 08, we kind of avoided that because our banks are insured, and because they're insured, the mortgage lending rules are a bit tighter.
Right.
So we kind of avoid, like we took a hit, but we didn't get anywhere near like to what happened because the banks are sort of restricted as to their lending practices, right? They can't do tons and tons of subprime mortgages and stuff like that, like it was happening, or sell them off the way that they were in the US. So our system is somewhat more stable because of that. We still get like swings in pricing. We still get like mini bubbles or big bubbles that, you know, we've had like crashes where we've lost, you know, 10, 15% of the value of your property's gone in a year kind of thing. But generally we rebound pretty quickly, right? So that's kind of, from my very 6 years of expertise, super duper genius knowledge of real estate, that's the differences I see between Canada and the US as far as real estate goes.
Right. So as far as, what is your average sale price in Hamilton?
Right now in Hamilton, it's just under $500,000. So it's about 495 or so. There's a really wide range though. Like I said, Hamilton is a weird place. It's like the core city of Hamilton, which is where I grew up downtown, like the steel mills and all that sort of thing. But then we've got all these little communities around it. Like if you're from here, you'll know like Ancaster and Flamborough and Dundas. And some of them are like basically just big farm communities. And some are like the suburbs, like the rich suburbs. And some of them are like the poor suburbs. So, and then there's the industrial sector. So when you're actually looking at purchasing a home in Hamilton, the prices go anywhere from like, for a detached home, you could find one for about $250,000 or so. Okay. And then all the way up to, I don't know, $1.5 million to $2 million in that ballpark kind of thing.
Ooh, cool.
But there's huge chunks that are like in the 300 to 600 range, where you're in like really nice neighborhoods, mature neighborhoods, schools, rec centers, libraries, the whole deal. Houses are probably 10 to 30 years old, depending on where you are, that kind of thing. Because the city itself is one of the oldest cities in Canada. Like we have the oldest running newspaper in Canada, if that makes any difference, from like the early 1800s and that sort of thing. So there are like homes in the city that are like 150, 200 years old, but a lot of it's been like since World War II type stuff. So it's more recent construction and growth, and really since the baby boom and all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
So it's really cool to hear kind of your market. You know, again, you and I both went into the marketplace at the same time, and I personally post bubble type of atmosphere. So for me, it was like the worst market. So you're saying when you entered, it wasn't too bad. However, it has kind of ebbed and flowed since you've been involved. Sure. And you're saying this year is slowing down a little bit? Yeah.
So when I first got in, it was still pretty good. It was right after that 08 crash. Like I started in 2011, end of 2011. So we're still dealing with the repercussions for that. And even before I was in real estate, I was still involved doing renovations and helping people flip properties. I flipped one of my own as well. So I was aware of what was happening in real estate before. So at the Hamilton market, specifically around 08, 09, right when it happened, we took a very brief hit of about 6% or so. So we took a bit of a dip, but within about 6 or 8 months, we had recovered all that and we're growing again. Again, mainly because of the stable sort of banking system and that. People economically, basically how I got into real estate, if you want to go back that far, is during that crash or just before that crash, I got downsized. I worked for an American company that has international offices, one of them being here. And when that crash happened, they were looking to downsize. So I happened to be one of the guys in the marketing department. They figured, oh, we have enough marketing guys in the US, we'll get rid of all the ones in Canada. And so there I go. I was out the door. So I started my own company doing flips and rentals and eventually got into real estate. So I was one of the people directly affected by the crash, but again, the overall economy wasn't too bad. And we've been growing ever since, up until last year, where we hit a bit of a peak. We've had for the last 3 years in a row, we've had over double-digit growth every single year. So double-digit growth on top of double-digit growth on top of double-digit growth. So
right?
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And what that means is that there's a lot of people in the market, a lot of young buyers or young agents who haven't seen prices fall. So when you see, compared to last year at this time, most areas in the city right now are anywhere from 8 to 12% below what they were selling last year. But if you compare to the year before, so if you compare to 2016, there's still a minimum of 12 to 13% above where they were in 2016. So overall, we're still growing really healthily. Some areas are in the 20 to 30% range growth compared to 2016. Yeah, but we took a bit of a dip since last year. So I was dealing with a couple from Toronto that bought in Toronto last year during the peak and had hoped to see the prices keep rising so that they could sell their house in Toronto where the average price is closer to $1 million, and then move to Hamilton where it's half the price and buy this nice home with all the equity that they captured in their house. Unfortunately, they got caught right at that spot where the prices dropped. So Toronto, because the average price is much higher, actually took a much more of a dip compared to last year, but they're already starting to grow and recover, right? But if you're one of these people that hope to buy and sell within the same year, you're caught in that little spot right there, right? So they basically put off their purchase until next year or the year after to allow themselves to recover all that money and then be able to purchase. But that's the good thing about it. It's stable enough that essentially if you ride it out for a couple of years, if you're not like a speculator or investor and you're just purchasing a home to live in, you can ride it out for 2 or 3 years and you're back in a positive position again, right?
That's what's so amazing about real estate, right? I mean, not only you're able to have a stable environment to live in, but you're also investing in your future. Because I mean, as long as you hold on to something long-term, you're always going to be okay. Unless something really crazy happens, the history shows you're good to go, all in the end. So Tony, we should talk a little bit more about you because I love what you do. I love what you're all about. You
love me so much. It's ridiculous. It honestly is.
Like we all love you so much that it's ridiculous. So I think maybe we'll break away from market conditions, sale prices.
I have my mimosa ready, so I'm ready to talk about other stuff. See?
I wish I could say that this was a mimosa but it's actually coffee because I was on the road all morning and I'm at my parents. So I'm doing what I can do, with what I have.
I'm dealing with lawyers all day, so I need all the mimosas I can handle.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you. Oh.
Kinsey's dancing, I think. I don't know what she's doing.
Kinsey's actually, can you see her right now, Tony?
Her chair's empty, so I think she's up dancing. I don't know what she's doing.
I'm back. I heard we're drinking champagne.
Oh, there you go. I got my fresh bottle I got just for you guys. See, look at that. We're all set.
Okay. Fresh beverages too.
So what are we chatting about now? Ask away.
I want to know more. Like, I know you've told me, but I think everyone needs to hear more. Why are you a Geeky agent? Talk to us about this, and what does that mean to you?
Well, I think, I think you got to understand what a geek is. I think at this point, it's not uncool to be a geek anymore. So a lot of people kind of, when we have the discussion, I have my own little, I don't have the shirt. I had the shirt on. I took it off. But the League of Real Estate Geeks. Sorry. So we kind of discuss the difference between what is a geek and what is a nerd, right? And because they both kind of had negative connotations for a very long time.
Right.
But at this point, I think the difference is like a nerd is like somebody who maybe like studies everything there is to know about something, whatever it happens to be. They're just obsessed with this thing, but they don't really do anything. They're just there to kind of, for their own sort of gratification, to read and learn about stuff. But a geek is somebody like a Steve Jobs type character or a Bill Gates type character or even Elon Musk, who acquires all this knowledge but then does something with it. Like they're really passionate about it. My particular geekiness is more pop culture related. So I love comic books. I've got like, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 comic books in my house somewhere. Pictures of like, nice pictures, but pictures of like Wonder Woman and Supergirl hanging in my house, and Spider-Man, Star Wars pillows, and all that sort of stuff.
Real Angels of Real Estate for your collection.
Yeah.
Right.
But, like we, that kind of thing, that's always been my passion outside of everything else that I do. I draw a lot and I do comics and that sort of thing. I go to comic book conventions. I used to have a website where I actually interviewed comic book writers and artists and all that sort of stuff. So it was pretty involved, I think, in the community in general. But it's just essentially somebody that has a real passion for something and isn't afraid to show it. So you could be a football geek. I mean, if you really love football and you're one of the kind of people that has season tickets and put on your cheese head and you paint your face and you go to the game and you just love it and you don't care what anybody else thinks, you're a football geek. That's just kind of what you are, right?
Right.
So it's just people that are really passionate about something. And so I think I started what's called the League of Real Estate Geeks, just a Facebook group, but the basis of it is that love of pop culture. So there's a bunch of agents in the group, a lot of Inman contributors and guys that used to work for the New York Times in the real estate department, people that work at NAR and stuff like that are just have that pop culture connection. So we love science fiction. We love like Avengers Infinity War, the movie that's out right now, the Marvel movie that just made like $1 billion in less than a week, that kind of thing. It's become mainstream, but we've had this passion for like decades. So there's people that are just really into it. And what I tend to find is that they're usually the best realtors that I know, because that passion for stuff just kind of spills over into whatever else that they do. So when you start talking to them about real estate, just about everybody in the group, depending on what stage of their careers at, have sort of made some sort of contribution to real estate. So they're either a director at the brokerage that they're at, they're in charge of like training and technology, like I said, they're Inman contributors, just people who are just really passionate about life and they just want to get something out of it. Those are the kind of people I really like to surround myself with generally. And it just happens that, the comic book and comic community and that kind of thing, the values from there, that passion for what you're doing, the acceptance of pretty much all other kinds of people, because there's no weirder group of people than people at a comic book convention. I'll admit to that right now.
Actually, I think that there could be a weirder group of people, and it would probably be the Remax R4 party posse. Because
they're pretty odd.
You know what? The party would hands down have something on any comic book convention.
They're a bunch of weirdos. That much I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, they are a bunch of badass weirdos, if you ask me.
That's all good. It's good to be weird. I got nothing. I hate boring people.
Yeah.
I've never been like, I'm pretty, I act very, if I'm working, I don't walk around in Batman t-shirts when I'm trying to work with clients and stuff, unless it's people that I've known for years and years and years.
I sometimes wear my Minnie Mouse ears to work. And
you can pull that off. I can't do that.
I'm looking
around. You can pull anything off.
I'm looking around my office right now, and I've got 2 tiaras. I've got a pair of bunny ears. Like, me looking around my office is hysterical.
Yeah, but you know what? But I like that. I like people who like to have fun, and just when it's time to do work, I'm serious. Like I said, I'm dealing with lawyers all day today, and it's all about some transactions that are falling apart, some other issues that are coming up. Just a lot of grind work that it just needs to be done, and there's no real room there to mess around. Like, we got to be serious. I'm dealing with people that they're purchasing homes that are worth like $700,000-$800,000, which in this area, that's a big deal. Like some parts of the world, maybe that's nothing. I don't know. But like in Hamilton, this is like Steel Town. People work hard. $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 to people is a lot of money. We don't mess around with that kind of stuff. So when it comes time to be serious, we're dead serious. But the rest of the time, we have a hell of a time. Like when we're out looking at houses and stuff, we have so much fun. Because I hate being boring. I hate hanging around boring people.
It has got to be fun. If you don't like what you're doing, like get the hell out of the business.
Yeah.
Like,
the business wise, and if you're so embarrassed about yourself, I think that's where it comes down to. You got to be really comfortable in your own skin, because I know what I bring to the table. Right? Like I've got a university education and I'm intelligent. I was class valedictorian once upon a time. And I don't really talk about that stuff to people, but I know who I am. Like, and I know what I bring to the table. Yeah. So I can go to R4 and sit in a chair in the big theater at the MGM or wherever we're at in my Flash t-shirt with my Remax badge, surrounded by everybody else in suits and ties.
Right.
And I don't have a problem with it.
Well, it's just
it doesn't bother me.
It's just like when it's warm in Las Vegas and we go to R4 and we're wearing our bikinis underneath our blazers. And our hashtag is blazers and bikinis, because you know what? If the weather's beautiful, we're going to go straight from a class, straight from getting some education, straight from a seminar, or straight from meeting with Dave Linegar and Adam Contos, and we are going to strip off our business clothes on the way to the pool. And you know what? Then we're going to put ourselves back together after we've laid by the pool for an hour. We've caught up with the rest of our referral partners, and we're going to head right back to get some more education before we get ready for dinner meetings, parties, and to, you know, dance in a penthouse.
You said it, Kynse. You said it.
You know what the funnest part of that is when you're peeling off the bikini and you've got all the business cards stuck in there. And do you remember that?
Yes.
It's like, wait, who put that
all
one
I
there?
can say is that I have not personally had that experience.
Well, it's been so
hard. There's nowhere to put anything. You know what I mean?
I get you. I feel you. I do.
We're going to have to bring Tony in on blazers and bikinis just so we can borrow his pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll be the concierge. That'll be me. The cabana boy. That's me.
You'll be there next year, won't you, Tony?
I hope to be. This is the first year I haven't been. I've been to the last 3 prior. Up for those 3, Remax Corporate actually asked me to come down. So I did a lot of the comics and cartoons that I do pretty much started with R4. That's really where it got started. I got asked by Corey Vasquez 4 R4s ago now. She had been to the Inman conference, actually, I think in New York, which I just went to this year for the first time as well. And she saw some dude there kind of doing what she asked me to do. It was just like sitting in the sessions, and he would just do some sort of a sketch, a quick little sketch to give you an idea of whatever it was that the speaker was talking about. And he put it up on Twitter, and people who weren't there, or even ones who were, of course, but people who weren't there could kind of follow along and get a feeling for what's happening at the conference, right? So she came back on Facebook, and we weren't even connected on Facebook yet, and just kind of put it out to the group. And I was kind of hemming and hawing for years about going to the conference or not. And because coming from up here, it's a bit more of a hike, and and we deal with the exchange rate and stuff like that too, which depending on the year, like $1 Canadian or $1 American is like $1.50 Canadian or something. So it's weird depending on the time of year.
Yeah, it's expensive.
But it can be, yeah. I mean, like a $20 meal costs $30. Like that's kind of how the exchange rate works out sometimes. So, you know, I kind of been hemming and hawing and stuff. And then Corey put it out there saying, you know, are there any artists in the Remax community? And I had just been posting random sketches and things that I've been doing on Facebook and stuff. So another friend, Jen O'Brien from another Remax brokerage here, kind of tagged me and put my name out there and said, actually, this guy does a lot of that stuff. And Corey and I started talking about it, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. And her idea was for me to show up at the conference and just do exactly that, like little sketches here and there. And I said, screw that. Like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it. So pretty much right away, I started just drawing comics and stuff about thinking about going to R4 and about all my Canadian.
All of this. This is when we became Facebook friends.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like some of my happiest days when I walk into the office are when I have either a card or a box or something from Tony sitting on my desk. Because I know that whatever is in that card or that box, I just know that it's going to be amazing and it's awesome. And I have a whole little stack of trinkets and little gifts and all of his comics that he sent me and all of his cards. And I just think that that's super badass.
Shrine to Tony.
So
well, it's fun. It's less like, I started doing those comics and people kind of started noticing. And I thought, all right, that's pretty cool. So I did it at R4, and then it was weird. It's weird because just the power of social media, like what we're doing now, and just ongoing kind of thing. This is sort of before we really started doing a lot of video and stuff.
Right.
So it was mostly like Twitter and Facebook and images and that sort of thing. But even just being at R4 and getting like Remax Corporate, Remax Integra, which is my sort of division of Remax, and my local brokerage and stuff to repost everything that I was doing as it was happening. I was there for like a day or so, and somebody sort of saw me on the elevator, and I had put up something ahead of time saying, "Hey, if you find a dude wearing a comic book T-shirt, it's probably me. So come and find me, and I'll give you something. I'll give you something." So when I got there, he saw some dude from St. Louis was just kind of like, "Hey, are you the guy drawing the comics and stuff?" I was like, yeah, I am actually. So it was hilarious, right? But and then after a few years, and then after it was over, I was like, I might as well just keep doing this. So it just kind of
I thought you always did it. I didn't know any of this until now. I thought you did this, like, you do this in your real estate business now, don't you?
Yeah, it just became the Geeky Agent Comics. So it just kind of became
your niche.
It's pretty much, yeah, it just became my thing. It's like, I always drew comics and I always drew stuff for fun and just sketching and that since I was a kid, pretty much. I have some from the grocery store I used to work at. I did a little mini comic about the very weird customers that we had in there and all this kind of stuff. This was when I was a teenager. So I always did that kind of thing, but then it became just associated with Remax. So it started off as the real estate geek and then eventually morphed into the Geeky Agent and just sort of rebranded everything that way. And then just basically the comics, you can go all the way back. I've got hang on. I got this. I'm going to go off camera here and look silly. This is volume 1 of all the Geeky Agent comics, starting from like R4 and that. So this is a lot.
It's awesome.
And that's not even all of them. That's just I just kept the one, aside from the ones that I've actually framed and given away, the rest are all in there. So there's hundreds of them at this point. But it just sort of became an outlet. It just became like, I talk about karma. I talk about cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid. And I talk about clients that, weird things or stuff that happens with clients that I've had, how I've helped them find houses, or how at the last minute, some buyers I had go to move into their house and the sellers are still there packing. Yeah, they're supposed to be out hours ago, and just funny little stories like that. And I don't know, whatever strikes me, whatever hits me at that moment, I'll do. Like, I think in the last couple of years, I've kind of slowed down a little bit. I don't do as many. And
probably
a lot
busy.
of them, yeah,
Right.
the business picks up and you got to prioritize. And my kids are older and they're in robotics and they're in scouts and they're in all these other things. So I kind of lose track. But a lot of the more recent ones I've done have been like music artists. So if there's a music artist that either I just like or happen to pass away, it has been happening the last few years with like David Bowie and all these other people. They've become just like almost little tributes to them, right? Like little vignettes about them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it changes over time just the same way I do, I guess, right? It's just kind of what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking at the moment, what's happening in the business. And I think as I started doing more video, I've done fewer comics because now I'm on video talking about all the things that I think about, whether, and I do, you've seen them all. I do video with Star Trek with like Darth Vader masks on and lightsabers and yeah, whatever I feel like doing, right? It's like I'll do Father's Day videos talking
I
about
love
Darth
that.
Vader, right? So if you can't do that, if you're
Right.
this whole thing around authenticity, right? If you can't sort of inject a little bit of who you are into what you're doing, then why are you doing it, right? Like it's just
That was the word I was
know.
looking for. That's what I love about that, Tony. You're not pushing yourself to do it. You're doing it because you have the pure joy in doing it.
Yeah.
It's fun for you. It's just an additive to all the other facets that are Tony.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know what? It's not like I realize that people like it, right? Like I'm not completely oblivious. This isn't like I'm going to do whatever I want and to heck with everybody else kind of thing, right? I mean, I'm putting it out there into the world, and I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything. Like some people take authenticity to mean like you just are who you are, and if you're a horrible person, then you're a horrible person. That's tough. Everybody has to like it or lump it. It's like no. I think there's still a responsibility to be the best version of yourself, right? Like in your real life and on what you do online, right? Like not like,
absolutely.
You know, and you know what, you can swear and you can curse and stuff like that. That's nothing. Who cares, right? But it's like if you're a jerk, you're a jerk, and I think you should be better. Stop being a jerk, right? It's just the way it is, right?
You're a jerk. I think you should be better.
Yeah, just do it, man. You just realize it and stop. You know, it's not always everybody else. If you think it's everybody else, most likely it's you.
So true.
It is.
And you know, that's how we met each other. Not because we're jerks, but because we're all about bettering ourselves. We met at the Remax National Conference. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. We all have very similar mentalities where we love what we do. We love, you know, obviously to serve our clients, but then we have our other life where we just have so much passion in everything we do. And by the way, we love real estate so much that we go to conferences about real estate. We meet other like-minded people. And here we are now having a talk show. 4 people from different areas of the world that are now together in this awesome Facebook Live. That's what it's about.
So I woke up this morning and all I could think about was how much I love real estate. And it was funny because I had this picture and I'm standing in front of a house and I was like, I'm going to meme this shit because that's what I do. And I was like, I really like this dress. And then I was like, I really love this house. Then I was like, I just freaking love real estate. And I'm like putting my meme together and I haven't even posted it yet. But, and I always come up with great things. Like I'll be in a bathtub. I'll be climbing a tree. I'll be, you know, jumping in the water. And
your Instagram feed is hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. And like all I could come up with today is I love real estate. That's it. It's simple. I love people. I love real estate.
Exclamation point.
Donors.
Yeah. But I think a big part of that is because of the way that you approach it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I know people in real estate who absolutely hate it.
So do I.
But a big part of that is what you bring to the table, right? So I mean, if you've got that type of attitude,
if you
mentality,
suck at it, you hate it.
Yeah, but part of sucking at it is that you're not putting enough effort into it. Like I saw yesterday or a couple of days ago, it might have been, I can't remember. But on the Inman Facebook page, Brad Inman posted an article about Zillow, and they had a crappy year. They got their earnings were down, their expenses were up. I don't know. I didn't read the whole story, but basically they had a bad year. And Brad just put a comment there basically saying, "Oh, I guess it's tough to make money in real estate." And right away I thought to myself, no, it's not. It really isn't.
Right.
It's not rocket science. You got to work hard. Don't get me wrong. Like we work long hours, we work hard. But end of the day, if you're taking care of your clients and you're being honest, you have some integrity, and you're willing to work hard, it's not difficult to make money in real estate. It really isn't. Markets go up, markets go down. You do what you got to do, but ultimately, end of the day, if you're the type of person that's willing to work hard, like I said, be honest, have integrity, treat clients with respect, follow up, actually care about what you're doing, that's the recipe for success in any industry.
And if you have a part-time mentality, you're going to be making a part-time wage in real estate.
Essentially,
So you know, if you're happy making under $50,000 a year in real estate, and that what makes you happy, and you're happy with that, then you know what? Congratulations, you found your dream job. But if you're struggling to deal with people And you wake up every morning going, oh shit, I've got to put my fucking shoes on and I've got to do this and I've got to show a house and then there's going to be a lockbox and then I've got to pay my board dues. If that's your mentality about it, you know what? This isn't the job for you.
Yeah. But by the same token, to be honest, I know people making $1 million a year in real estate or close to it consistently, and that just absolutely hate it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not even so much the income level. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you're happy at making 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, and you know what, you've got time to make your money and you've got time to do whatever else it is that makes you happy. Like my business has been growing. So I've been at 6 years. Every year it's been growing. Last year was the best year that I had in the past 6 years. And at the same time, I'm balancing it with being a single dad 50% of the time. And taking and doing stuff with my kids and without them that I like to do. Like I traveled to New York with a friend of mine for a New York Comic Con for a few days. I went down there for the Inman conference as well a couple months later for work. And then I go to local comic book conventions. I took my kids out to see Avengers Infinity War last night. Like just sort of, and going to my son's robotics tournaments and taking them to scouts. And so I'm at that point where as my kids get older, and are more independent, I have more time to focus on the business, and the business is becoming more successful. But at the same time, like I said, I know people who make like $1 million a year in real estate and are miserable because they're so tied to the business that they don't make time for anything else. And they're just on a day-to-day basis, they are miserable because they don't have time to spend with their kids. They're stressed all the time. They're just not managing their time properly or whatever it might be. And again, so the income level doesn't matter. I think a lot of it's attitude. And it's just, if you're going in with it, and you got to find that sweet spot where you can take care of yourself and you're still being successful.
Right.
And you've got that. I mean, I don't want to say balance because everything's always in flux. There's always going to be times when you're working way too much, and there's times when you wish you were working more and all that sort of stuff. But you got to find that sweet spot where you're like, okay, you know what? I'm good. I'm happy making $120,000 to $140,000 a year consistently every year. I can pay all my bills, and I'm saving for my retirement. I'm making all this money. Maybe I can buy an investment property. I can pay for my kids to go to college, university. I take trips, and it changes. Like that might be okay for 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I really need to start making 180 to 250, or whatever it might be. It just depends on your situation.
You're in control of every part of it. That's one of the luxuries of this job. I mean, you're gonna work, you're gonna hustle, you're gonna grind, you're gonna take care of business each and every day. We don't have days off. We might have most of the day off, but at the end of it, if I want to slow down or life changes happen, this is the job that allows you to roll with that.
I agree 100%. And I'm a broker owner, and I just went back. So I have 24 agents in my office. I can tell you that they're all happy agents, and they like waking up in the morning. They like doing their job. And that's the same with, our staff in our office, my administrative assistant, Nick, our Chief Compliance Officer, Tracy, our marketing designer, Jurgen. Everyone they are happy when they walk into the office, and they're smiling, they're having a good time, and if that changes with either myself or my agents, we usually, we sit down, we have a conversation, and we have that, that heart to heart on what's going on and what can we do to fix it. And I think that happiness is probably one of the most important things when it comes to everything you do in your life. If you're not happy, you're going to be miserable.
Well, I think study after study that I've seen, every bit, whether it's a business study or a psychological study or whatever it might be. And I just turned 45, so I've been around for a while. Like I've been in real estate for about 6.5 years, but I did have jobs before. I did work corporate for like multinational corporations, and I put together business proposals for $100 million worth of business at a time. And so I've been around. So I've learned a little bit in my life, and everything that I've ever seen essentially points to that fact that happy employees, and you can define happiness however you like, but generally speaking, employees that are happy, they feel like they're being productive, They feel like they're being valued, so that it's a two-way kind of street that way. And they feel that, you know, they're being supported where they work and that what they do matters. And Simon Sinek talks about this quite a bit too. They are more productive overall. You'll see them become more successful in whatever they're doing because they just feel like it matters and that they care about what they're doing. For short periods of time, you can make yourself miserable and grind things away. And there are people that are miserable forever and make tons of money, but I think they're the exception rather than the rule. I think
we don't know miserable people. Misery loves company.
Oh, no, we know that.
People don't.
We
don't talk to them.
So true.
Yeah, I say hi to them and I just kind of keep on going. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
I give them great big hugs, and I just hope I don't set on fire.
Yeah, you know, you kind of.
I don't think I know one miserable person.
You know the dark clouds. You know who they are, right? You kind of whether it's in like I work in a fairly large office. We have over at this point we've got like 11 offices and 650 something agents or something like that. So not everybody's going to be the ray of sunshine in your life kind of thing. It's just not. And even if the ones who aren't going to be like that all the time, right? People have bad days.
They'll have shit days.
But you definitely know the people that are on a day-to-day basis always a little bit down. Always have that sort of poor outlook that just like another day kind of slugging along doing what they're doing, and for various reasons. Who knows what the reasons are. Could be personal issues, could be just their outlook on life, could be a deal went south or whatever it might be, who knows. But you know who they are, and nobody likes, generally speaking, hanging around them because they do suck the energy out of the room. Like they just kind of like it's hard. And you know, if they're friends of yours, like you said, not everybody's happy every day. So you're there for your friends to kind of get them through it and get them on. But the people who are kind of consistently like that all the time, generally speaking, like you said, misery loves company. They tend to find each other, and they tend to be the ones that instead of getting to work, like when things aren't working, instead of getting to work, find an excuse to go to the bar and drink and commiserate with each other and say how horrible the world is, rather than going back to work and making it better.
We'd rather drink and celebrate and talk about our victories instead of drink and sulk.
Yeah.
I'd rather honestly, if things weren't going right, and I've gotten a couple of things now that different deals and things that are different levels of basically going south for various reasons, and most of them out of my control, but I'm doing my best to kind of make them work. I'd rather sit with the three of you if you were in my brokerage and come into the office and say, hey, Kynse, you know what? Can I talk to you for a minute? Like, what do you think I should do? Like, I could sit here and be sucky and just say, oh, this sucks kind of thing. Or I could sit there and say, what have you done? Have you seen this before? Like, what do I do here? Because that to me is a better way of approaching things, right? Like, you're always going to get knocked down. You got to find a way to get up. You just got it.
I think that's kind of how myself, Alexa, and Tabatha have all come together. Even though we're in different parts of the country, we have, a group text message, and we bounce ideas off of each other. We can call each other at any moment and any point and say, hey, this just happened. How would you handle this? And if you were to read through our group text message, it's freaking hysterical 99% of the time. But then, there's the other slight percentage because we're all very, very serious about our businesses. And, being the most professional realtors, brokers that we can be. But Alexa the other day texted us over a message and said, hey, what do you think about this? Should I add this? Should I remove this? And we came to a quick little, it maybe took us 45 seconds, little decision on the best way to handle the situation. And boom, she was off and running. And, and we do that. And having that group or that circle that you're surrounded with is really, it's pretty amazing to be able to have a group of like-minded people that you can deal with and bounce ideas off of.
And the technology makes it possible, right? I mean, I think that's probably the biggest advantage that we have now compared to, say, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Like, if you didn't have that little group within your own brokerage or within some couple local realtors, you're kind of out of luck. right? I mean, you're kind of on your own there. If you had a really bad broker owner or office manager, you're kind of stuck. But at this point, with technology the way it is, I'm a member of at least 2 or 3 different Facebook realtor-only groups that I can think of, that if I have a question, I can pretty reliably go there and post it there. And it's realtors of all different brands from all over the country that'll have a lot of experience, and they'll give me their opinion. Maybe you should try this. Here's what happened to me once upon a time, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And then again, I said I have the League of Real Estate Geeks. So I've got LORG, my little group that I have there. And we kind of bounce. I mean, it's 98% of it is just fun. It's like, here's like the new Avengers movie. Here's what's coming up. Here's a TV show that's awesome that's coming up. Here's what you should watch on Netflix or whatever. But then there's that percentage there, like if I have an idea, like my business card or my mugs or any of that kind of stuff that sort of involves that sort of geeky passion combined with real estate, I always put it to them first.
Right.
100% of the time I put it to them first. I'm like, hey, what do you guys think? You know, is this cool? What should I do? How should I tweak it? You know, all that sort of stuff. And they do the same. Like we have a member of the group, one of the original members, actually one of the reasons I founded the group, my friend Donna out in Ottawa. Before I even started the group, I remember chatting with her, and I found out that she did a little bit of cosplay. Like she would go to a convention every so often and dress up like a character for fun with some friends and that sort of thing. And she was amazed to know that I even knew what that was. She's like, you're like one of the 2 real estate agents I know that know what cosplay is. Like, how is this possible? Kind of thing. It's like, oh, there's tons of geeky agents, right? I was like, break. So I made this little group basically with her and a few other people in mind. So I founded this group so that we could have this sort of space to kind of be yourself, I guess, and figure out ways to include yourself in your business. But one of the things eventually that we came up with was actually from Christy Walker from Arizona, a RE/MAX agent.
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you what happens at my office. We've got people in the window here talking to me. Do we see them? They're knocking on my window telling me I look pretty today. This is what happens at my office.
There you go.
Pretty much that. My parents are in the process of moving. And by the way, can I say that my mom and dad are like, when you have to move out 25 years of crap, it is unbelievable. Furthermore, my mom is actually our broker owner, and just dealing with all the emotions and everything. This is why we have a job, people. I can't even tell you, anytime I bought or sold, I'm like, Mom, what do you think? You know, and it seemed that's why we have our jobs, you know? So anyways.
Yeah.
Well, the network's important. I think the support network and just having those people to bounce ideas off of is extremely important for anybody to be successful.
Yeah, the synergy is good. It's good to get, a good group of people together like we have. And we love, like Tony coming on the show. That's it's more information, but it's also more synergy. Now we have another dynamic about Tony, his opinions on things, could just add to our whole little group here.
Oh, I got lots of opinions.
We appreciate your time so much. And, it really has been nice because we always catch up, whenever we see each other, but there's nothing better than all of us getting together here. And you know what? Maybe someone that wants to watch this and enjoys it will learn something cool too.
Absolutely. So we're going to say goodbye to Tony, and then I'm going to give a little update on what we have coming here in 2 weeks. So thank you so much, Tony. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye.
Thank you, Tony.
To you, and
have an awesome day.
Little update on what we've got coming up, which is going to be pretty cool. So
what do we have coming up? I forget.
What do we have coming up? You forgot. I'm actually going to my calendar right now.
Hunter.
We have Hudson Warren. Hudson Warren is a local Keller Williams agent in my market, and he runs a very, very successful team with Keller Williams. And as you know, we're all RE/MAX agents, but he has become a great friend of mine here locally. And we go out to lunch, and we have built a relationship not based upon brands. So we drink the RE/MAX Kool-Aid, and Hudson drinks the Keller Williams Kool-Aid. And so in 2 weeks on the 23rd at noon, what we're going to do is we're going to have Hudson on the show. And we're going to discuss why we're at the brokerage that we're at, what different brokerages, different brands, we're going to lay it all out there. He's obviously with Keller Williams for a reason. We're with Remax for a reason. And whatever the whatever myths, we're going to bust those. We're going to have some great conversation, but we're not going to argue because we do deals with everybody and we support everyone's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we support everyone's choices and decisions to be with the brokerage that they're at because everyone's where they're at for a certain reason. So we're going to nix out that KW and Remax battle, and we're going to hug it out, and it's going to be super awesome. I'm excited. Hug it out.
That's great. I love it.
I know.
Hug. So that's our topic. Here's my hug.
Yeah. Oh. I like it. I like your hugs, Tab. I like your hugs. Cool. So thank you to Tony for being on the show. Ladies,
Thank you, Tony.
I know that we've got a lot of hustling to do today.
Yeah.
So
get to it.
Yeah, everybody get back to it. For everyone that missed the show, you can also find it on the Real Angels of Real Estate YouTube, and we are now on iTunes as well. So you can, if you're driving in your car, you can go ahead and download the Real Agents of Real Estate Rare on iTunes, and our podcast is there as well. So looking forward to seeing everybody in 2 weeks. Share this story with your friends. If you have any referrals for Hamilton, Ontario, send them on up to our geeky agent, Tony.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, ladies.
Bye, girls.